They laughed when I walked past in my simple dress. His new girlfriend threw her shopping bags at my feet and called me pathetic. My ex just smirked and said, "Still broke." I see. What? They didn't know. I owned every single store they were standing in. And I was about to teach them the most expensive lesson of their lives. Before we dive into this story, hit that subscribe button right now because what happens next is absolutely wild. You won't believe how karma delivered justice in the most satisfying way possible. Now, let me take you back to where it all started. You know, people always say that your darkest moments can become your greatest blessings. I never believed that until it happened to me. My name is Brianna, and this is the story of how the worst day of my life turned into the setup for the sweetest revenge I never planned. 5 years ago, I was just a regular girl from the South Side, working 2 jobs and dreaming bigger than my bank account could afford. I was waiting tables during the day and doing data entry at night, saving every penny I could because I had this wild dream of starting my own business. I wanted to create something beautiful, something that would make women feel powerful and elegant, a luxury retail experience that was different from anything else out there. That's when I met Troy. He was charming, confident, and he said all the right things. In the beginning, he acted like he believed in me. He'd listen to me talk about my business plans for hours, nodding and smiling. But slowly things changed. The support turned into subtle digs. My dreams became cute little ideas that I should probably let go of. He started saying things like, "Babe, you need to be realistic. Not everyone is meant to be a business owner." I should have seen the red flags, but you know how it is when you think you're in love. You ignore the warnings. You make excuses. You convince yourself that he's just being practical, that he cares about protecting you from disappointment. 2 years ago, everything fell apart. Troy sat me down in my tiny apartment and told me he was done. But he didn't just break up with me. He destroyed me with his words. He said I was wasting my life chasing impossible dreams. He said I'd never amount to anything because I didn't understand how the real world worked. And then came the final blow. He was leaving me for someone else. Her name was Angela, and she came from money. Old money. The kind of money that paid for designer wardrobes and luxury vacations without checking price tags. "Angela gets it," he told me, grabbing his things from my apartment. "She understands success. She knows what it takes to live well. You're just stuck in fantasies that'll never come true." I cried for 3 days straight after that. I felt worthless, stupid, and small. But on the 4th day, something inside me shifted. I was sitting on my bathroom floor looking at myself in the mirror, and I made a decision. I was going to prove him wrong. Not for him, for me. I was going to build everything he said I couldn't. I threw myself into my business plan with a fury I didn't know I had. I reached out to everyone I could think of, pitched my idea to dozens of investors, and got rejected over and over again. But I didn't stop. On my 47th pitch, I met a woman named Patricia who saw something in my vision. She wrote me a check that changed my life, and we became partners. The next 18 months were brutal. I worked 20-hour days. I learned everything about luxury retail, supply chains, branding, and customer experience. I made mistakes and fixed them. I hired the right people and let go of the wrong ones. And slowly, brick by brick, I built something extraordinary. My brand launched quietly, but it didn't stay quiet for long. Within 6 months, we had lines around the block. Within a year, we opened 3 more locations. The press called it the luxury retail revolution. Celebrities were photographed carrying our bags. Fashion magazines featured our stores. And suddenly I wasn't just successful, I was wealthy. Really wealthy. By the end of year 2, I owned 8 boutiques across the city, including the entire luxury wing of the biggest mall downtown. My net worth had crossed into the hundreds of millions. I was living in a penthouse, driving cars I used to dream about, and attending events with people I used to see on television. But here's the thing, nobody tells you about success. I kept it private. I stayed off social media. I didn't do interviews. I didn't flaunt my wealth. Most people had no idea who I was, and I liked it that way. I could move through the world like a regular person, observing everything without the noise of recognition. Which brings me to that Saturday afternoon 3 weeks ago, the day everything came full circle. I decided to visit my flagship mall to check on things. I do this regularly. I like to walk through my stores as a regular customer would, seeing what works and what doesn't. That day, I dressed in my usual inspection outfit. Comfortable jeans, a plain black sweater, and white sneakers. Nothing flashy, nothing that screamed, "I own this place." I was walking through the main corridor, taking notes on my phone about the window displays when I heard it. That laugh, the one I used to hear every single day for 3 years, the one that used to make me smile, but now made my blood run cold. I turned around slowly and there he was. Troy standing in the middle of my mall looking exactly like he always thought he deserved to look. Expensive suit, designer watch, hair perfectly styled. And next to him was Angela, dripping in luxury brands from head to toe, carrying multiple shopping bags from my stores. My first instinct was to turn around and walk away. I didn't need this. I didn't need to relive that pain. But before I could move, Angela spotted me. "Oh my God," she said loudly, her voice cutting through the ambient noise of the mall. "Troy, isn't that your ex? The one with the sad little dreams?" Everyone nearby started to look. Troy turned, and when his eyes landed on me, this smirk spread across his face. That same condescending smirk I used to see when I'd talk about my business plans. "Brianna," he said, walking toward me with Angela on his arm. "Wow, still shopping at discount stores, huh?" I didn't respond. I just stood there calm and quiet, watching them approach like predators circling prey. Angela looked me up and down with pure disgust. "Those are some interesting fashion choices," she said, gesturing at my outfit. "Very budget-conscious." People were starting to stare now. Some were even pulling out their phones. I could feel the humiliation they were trying to pour over me. But something strange happened. I didn't feel it. I felt nothing but curiosity about how far they'd actually go. "You know what?" Angela said, stopping right in front of me. She lifted her shopping bags, looked at them, then looked at me, and then, in the most calculated act of cruelty I've ever witnessed, she threw them at my feet. The bags hit the ground with a thud. Designer boxes spilled out slightly. The corridor went silent. "Here," Angela said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "Why don't you carry these for us? You look like you could use the work. Maybe Troy can tip you a few dollars for your trouble." Troy laughed. Actually laughed. "Come on, Angela. Don't be mean. She's probably doing her best." He looked at me with mock pity. "Some people are just meant to stay at the bottom. You know, not everyone can handle success. I tried to tell you that, Brianna, but you wouldn't listen." The crowd was watching everything now. I could hear whispers, see phones recording. This was exactly what they wanted, a public humiliation, a moment they could walk away from feeling superior, feeling like they'd won something. I bent down slowly and picked up one of the bags. I looked inside and smiled. "Lux and Bell," I said softly. "Beautiful store. I'm very familiar with it." Troy scoffed. "Of course you're familiar with it. You probably press your face against the window and dream about shopping there." He turned to Angela. "She used to do that with jewelry stores. It was kind of sad, actually." I pulled out my phone, keeping my expression completely neutral. I dialed a number I had on speed dial and put it on speaker. "Hi, yes, this is me," I said calmly. "I need you to come to the main corridor outside Lux and Bell now, please." Angela laughed. "Who are you calling?" "Your imaginary assistant." I didn't answer. I just waited. The crowd waited too. Everyone sensed something was about to happen, but nobody knew what. Less than 2 minutes later, I saw her rushing toward us. Geneva, the manager of Lux and Bell, and one of my most trusted employees. She was practically running, her face flushed with concern. She reached us and immediately addressed me slightly out of breath. Ms. Carter, I'm so sorry. Is everything all right? Do you need anything? Is there a problem with the store? The confusion on Angela's face was priceless. Troy's smirk started to fade. Wait. Angela stammered. You know her? Geneva looked at Angela like she'd just asked if the sky was blue. Know her? She turned back to me, then to Angela again. This is Ms. Brianna Carter. She owns Lux and Bell. And not just Lux and Bell, I added quietly, watching Troy's face drain of color. I own Essence and Company. I own Lavish Lane. I own Silk and Stone, Opulence, Radiance Boutique, Crown and Court, and Timeless Elegance. I paused, letting each name sink in. Every single luxury boutique in this mall, they're all mine. This entire wing you're standing in, I own it. Angela's shopping bags fell from her hands. Troy looked like he was going to be sick. That's not possible, Troy whispered. You were broke. You were nobody. I was never nobody, I said, my voice steady and cold. You just treated me like I was. Angela started backing up. Look, we didn't know, okay? We were just joking around. You know how it is, joking. I cut her off. You threw shopping bags at my feet and told me I looked like I needed work in front of all these people while they recorded it. I gestured to the crowd to the phones still pointed at us. That didn't seem like joking. That seemed like cruelty. I turned to Geneva. Can you pull up the security footage from the last 5 minutes on your tablet? She nodded quickly, pulling out the device and accessing the system. Within seconds, she had the footage playing. There it was in perfect clarity. Angela throwing the bags, Troy laughing, their words of mockery captured with crystal clear audio. I have this entire interaction recorded from multiple angles, I said. Every word, every gesture, every moment of you trying to humiliate me in my own mall. Troy tried to laugh it off, but his voice was shaking. Come on, Brianna. We go back. You're not really going to make a big deal out of this, are you? We were just playing around. You know I always believed in you. Stop. I held up my hand. Don't you dare rewrite history. You told me I'd never amount to anything. You said my dreams were fantasies. You left me for her because I wasn't good enough for your vision of success. I pulled out my phone again and made another call. Security. This is Brianna Carter. I need 2 individuals permanently banned from all my properties. I provided their descriptions, their names, everything. Yes, every location. Flag them in the system. If they attempt to enter any of my stores, they are to be escorted out immediately. Wait. Angela's voice was panicked now, tears streaming down her face. You can't do this. My family shops here. This is our mall. It's my mall. I corrected her. And you're no longer welcome in it. Troy stepped forward, his face red with anger and embarrassment. This is insane. You're abusing your power because you can't handle seeing me happy. I'm exercising my right as a property owner to remove people who harass other customers. That's what you did. You harassed someone you thought was beneath you. Someone who couldn't fight back. I looked him directly in the eyes. You picked the wrong person to underestimate. 2 security guards arrived and stood on either side of them. The head of security looked at me for confirmation and I nodded. These 2 are permanently banned. Please escort them out and make sure their photos are distributed to all our locations. As the guards moved to escort them away, something beautiful happened. The crowd started clapping slowly at first, then louder. Someone shouted, "That's what you get." Another person said, "Karma's real." Angela was sobbing, trying to hide her face. Troy was rigid with humiliation and rage. As they were led toward the exit, he turned back and shouted, "You're going to regret this. You think you're so much better than everyone now." "I don't think I'm better than everyone," I called back. "Just better than you." But honestly, Troy, that's not saying much." The crowd erupted in cheers and laughter. I watched them disappear through the doors, security on both sides, and I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no joy, no anger, just a strange sense of closure. Geneva touched my arm gently. "Miss Carter, are you okay? I'm so sorry you had to deal with that." "I'm fine," I assured her. "Actually, I'm better than fine." As the crowd dispersed and people went back to their shopping, I stood there for a moment, reflecting on everything. The girl Troy left 2 years ago would have been destroyed by today. She would have gone home crying, believing everything they said about her. But I wasn't that girl anymore. Later that evening, I did some digging. I'm not proud of it, but I was curious. Troy was still working the same sales job he'd had when we dated. He hadn't been promoted. His salary was decent, but nothing extraordinary. Angela's family money was real. But according to some mutual acquaintances, they'd cut her off months ago for excessive spending. She and Troy were living in a rented apartment, drowning in credit card debt, wearing designer clothes they couldn't afford to maintain their image of wealth. The irony was almost poetic. They'd built a facade of success while mocking me for chasing real dreams. And when they finally encountered actual success, they didn't even recognize it because it wasn't screaming for attention. You want to know the wildest part? Half the designer clothes they were wearing that day were from my brands. They'd literally spent thousands of dollars on my products while insulting me for being broke. 6 months have passed since that day. My business has expanded to 3 more cities. I've been featured in Forbes and Business Week. Troy tried to reach out via email, some long message about how he always knew I had it in me and how he was sorry for not expressing his support better. I deleted it without reading past the first line. Angela apparently broke up with him when the debt collectors started calling. Last I heard, he's back to dating around, still pretending to be more successful than he is. As for me, life has never been better. I still dress in jeans and a plain sweater when I visit my stores. I still move through the world without announcing who I am because real wealth, real success, real power, it doesn't need to scream for attention. It doesn't need to humiliate others to feel important. I built this empire from nothing. From heartbreak and tears and sheer determination. And every time I walk through those stores, every time I see women finding pieces that make them feel beautiful and powerful, I remember why I did this. Not for revenge, not to prove Troy wrong, but to prove to myself that I was always enough. The fact that karma delivered such poetic justice along the way. Well, that's just a bonus. If this story taught you anything, let me know in the comments below. Have you ever had someone underestimate you only to prove them wrong later? Share your story. I read every single comment. And if you enjoyed watching karma work its magic, smash that like button and subscribe for more stories like this. Remember, your dreams are valid no matter who tries to tear them down. Stay focused, stay humble, and let your success speak for itself. I'll see you in the next.